My relatives celebrated too early. Elder's fortune went to his most devoted caregiver. Me, not them. Be me, 27-year-old Andrew, living in Portland, Oregon. Always been the black sheep of my family. Not because I'm struggling, actually doing pretty well for myself. Just never fit their definition of success. Dad, Richard, is some hotshot corporate lawyer. Acts like the entire world revolves around lawsuits and contracts. Mom, Patricia, used to be a cardiology nurse before retiring. Always obsessing about keeping up appearances. Like it's her full-time job or something. Then there's my siblings. Brother Marcus owns 3 CrossFit gyms. Won't shut up about how he's revolutionizing fitness in the state. Other brother Daniel runs some fancy tech startup. Always talking about how he's going to be the next big thing. Sister Rachel married into money. Her husband Christopher is some big-shot real estate developer. They spam social media with their perfect suburban life photos, always with captions like blessed and living the dream. Then there's me, professional welder and part-time hunting guide. Love every minute of my work. Welding is literally an art form. Takes real skill and precision. Built myself a solid career. Make great money too. The hunting guide thing isn't even about cash. Just love being outdoors, sharing my passion with others. Try explaining that to my family though. Might as well be speaking Chinese. Mom always asks when I'm going to stop playing with metal, get a real job instead. Like I'm some kid messing around in a garage. Marcus keeps trying to get me to manage one of his gyms. Says I need to do something meaningful with my life. Daniel treats me like I'm some caveman. You should get into tech, Andrew. That's where the real future is? Real future, my ass. My bank account would disagree. Stopped trying to explain myself to them years ago. What's even the point anymore? They've made up their minds about me. Honestly, don't care enough to change their opinion. They can keep their judgmental attitudes. I'm happy with my life. I'm successful in my own way. Don't need their approval to validate my existence. Only person who ever got me was my great-uncle Robert. He was my grandfather's brother. Nothing like the rest of our stuck-up family. Lived life exactly how he wanted. Didn't give a damn about fancy titles or degrees. Only cared about a person's character. Robert used to be a corporate lawyer too back in the day, but he was different. Gave it all up to live off the land. Built himself an amazing hunting cabin. Had 85 acres of pristine wilderness all to himself, up in the mountains near Mount Hood. Robert and I bonded over hunting and fishing. Taught me everything I know. How to track animals. How to shoot properly. Most importantly, how to respect nature. Never looked down on me for being a welder. Actually respected my trade. It's honest work, he would always say. Someone who can create with their hands will never go hungry. When Robert got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer last winter, hit me like a truck. He was always so full of life. Couldn't imagine him being sick, let alone dying. Family's reaction was fucking disgusting. Well, he's lived a long life, Rachel said. Like that made it okay to abandon him. Nobody offered to help. Nobody even visited. All too busy with their precious careers. Too important to care about a dying old man. Couldn't stand seeing Robert alone like that. Started visiting him every chance I got. Helping around the house. Cooking his meals. Just keeping him company. Had to cut back on work hours to make it happen. But Robert was family. Real family takes care of each other. At least that's what I believe. Meanwhile, the rest of them lived their lives. Like Robert didn't even exist. Rachel and Christopher planning their fancy European vacation. Marcus opening yet another gym. Daniel buried in his precious app development. Parents didn't even pretend to care anymore. Mom would sometimes ask, "How's Robert doing?" But only because she felt obligated. Not because she actually gave a damn. Didn't mind their indifference, though. Just made me want to do more for Robert. He deserved better than being forgotten by the people he spent his whole life caring about. One evening after helping Robert with dinner, he looks at me all serious. "Is this hurting you, Andrew?" Taking care of me, I mean. Tell him straight up. Had to cut back on work a bit. But it's fine. Your family, Robert. Wouldn't be here if I didn't want to be. He just nods. Can tell he's thinking hard about something. You've got a good heart, kid, he says. Don't ever let them take that away from you. Didn't understand what he meant then. Would find out soon enough. After that, everything started showing its true colors. Robert getting weaker every day. Could see his time running out. Spending my days making sure he ate. Giving him his meds. Just being there to talk. Meanwhile, my family was nowhere to be found. To them, Robert might as well be already dead. Acting like his existence was just an inconvenience. I'm sure Andrew's got it handled, Rachel said. When I asked if she'd visit for his birthday, his 78th birthday, Daniel didn't even reply to the group text. Marcus's response was pure bullshit. Man, I'd love to, but I'm swamped with the gym opening. They weren't swamped. Just selfish pricks. Robert never complained, though. One of those people who hates burdening others, even when he needed help. Could see the hurt in his eyes, though. Every time I mentioned someone from the family, they're busy, he'd say. trying to make excuses for them. Busy my ass. More like too self-absorbed to care. One evening after cleaning up dinner, Robert asks me to sit down, looks serious again, like he's been thinking about something heavy. Andrew, I've been meaning to ask you something. Taking care of me like this? How much is it costing you? Just shrugged it off. Working fewer hours, but it's fine. Least I can do. He nods, but doesn't look convinced. You've got a good heart, kid. Always have. Just don't want you to end up regretting this. Regret what? I ask. Actually confused. Putting so much into helping me. Rest of them wouldn't lift a finger. Don't want you to feel cheated. Because you're the only one who cares. That hit hard. Never thought about it that way. Wasn't expecting anything from Robert. Was doing this because I loved him. Not for some reward. Don't feel cheated, I told him. If anything, I'm grateful. Grateful I get to spend this time with you. They're the ones who'll regret it. He just smiled and nodded after that. Week later, Robert drops the big news. I'm at his place helping him sort through old papers. Lifetime collection of stuff. Hunting licenses. Photos. Mementos from his lawyer days. Asks me to grab specific envelope from his desk drawer. Hands it to him. He holds it for a moment. Looking all serious? Andrew, I've changed my will. Think he means he's adding some wildlife charity. He was always talking about that. Always wanted to support conservation groups and veteran organizations. But then he looks me right in the eyes. I want you to have the cabin. And $200,000 to fix it up. Rest is going to charity. Just sit there staring at him. Why? Because you've done more for me than anyone else. He says it straight up. You've been here day in and day out, while the rest of them couldn't even bother to call. You're the only one who truly cares, Andrew. Want you to have a real start in life? A chance to build something that's yours. Don't even know what to say. Part of me wants to protest. Tell him he doesn't have to do this, but can see how serious he is. Don't want to disrespect his wishes. Robert, I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Just promise you'll take care of the place. Make it your own. And don't let them take it from you. Doesn't take long for family to start sniffing around. They don't know about the will yet, but they can sense something's up. Marcus calls me one evening. Weird because he never calls, unless he wants something. Hey, Andrew. All casual like we talk every day. So how's Robert doing? He's hanging in there. Keep it short. Cool. Like we're discussing the weather. Hey, I was thinking, once Robert, passes, what's going to happen to the cabin? Nearly laugh out loud. Man can't even wait for Robert to die before trying to stake his claim. Not sure, I say. Playing dumb. Why? Oh, no reason. He tries to sound casual. Just thought it'd be cool to keep it in the family. Maybe we could all chip in and fix it up. By chip in, he means me doing all the work. Yeah, maybe. Just say it to shut him up. Next day, Rachel texts me. Hey, Andrew. I was thinking, wouldn't it be amazing if we turned Robert's cabin into a family retreat? The kids would love it. First of all, Rachel doesn't even have kids yet. Second, she hasn't been to the cabin in years. Last time she visited, she complained about the bugs. Said the place smelled like old wood. Now suddenly it's her dream vacation spot. Don't even respond. Entitlement only gets worse. Daniel, who hasn't spoken to Robert in forever, starts dropping hints in family group chat about how much land like Robert's is worth. Prime real estate, he says. Could easily sell for $1 million if developed right. Want to scream. These people don't care about Robert, his wishes, or his legacy. They only see dollar signs. Meanwhile, Robert keeps declining. More tired every day. Some days he can't even leave his bed, but never loses his sharp mind. One evening while helping with his meds, he looks at me knowingly. You know they're going to come after you, right? Just nod. Let them try. Robert grins. That's my boy. Robert was right. Knew they'd come for me eventually. Wasn't worried though. Made peace with not being their idea of successful. Now thanks to Robert. Had something they couldn't take, no matter how hard they tried. Little did I know how far they'd go. By this point, Robert was in his final weeks, with him almost every day, helping him through the worst of it, while my family couldn't even send a card. Only time they mentioned Robert was to speculate about his estate. Should have known something was up. When Marcus suggested a family dinner, for context, we never did family dinners anymore. Barely saw each other except holidays. Even then, everyone left right after dessert, but Marcus was weirdly insistent. Agreed to go just out of curiosity. Moment I walked into Mom and Dad's house. Could feel the tension. Everyone was there. Marcus, Daniel, Rachel. All their spouses too. All had this fake, polite vibe going. Mom greets me with forced smile. Looks physically painful for her. Andrew, you made it! Like I'm some long-lost son returning home. Yeah, what's this about? Skip the small talk. Marcus slaps my back. Just thought it'd be nice to get together. You know, talk about Robert. Red flag number 1. First 10 minutes is awkward small talk. Work stuff, vacation plans, whatever new bullshit Daniel's tech company is doing. Then Rachel decides to cut to the chase, puts on her fake concerned sister voice. So Andrew, what's Robert's plan for the cabin? You've been spending so much time with him. Figured you'd know. Red flag number 2. Just shrug. He hasn't really said... Marcus jumps in. Well, it makes sense to keep it in the family. Maybe use it as a vacation spot. Like a family retreat. Rachel's eyes light up. Yeah, she says. I was telling Christopher, the kids would love it. They could grow up surrounded by nature. Would be such a great legacy for Robert. Your kids aren't even born yet. Can't help myself. Rachel glares at me. Before she can respond, Daniel jumps in. Honestly, think we should sell it. That land is worth a fortune. Could split the money, invest in something worthwhile. Split it? Marcus scoffs. Why would we split it? When I've got a business that could actually use it, Robert would have wanted it to go towards something meaningful. Meaningful like expanding your gym empire? Can't believe what I'm hearing. Fighting over the cabin, like Robert's already dead. Don't think Robert would want it sold. Try to steer conversation away from their greed. Marcus leans back, smirking like an asshole. Come on, Andrew. What are you going to do with it? Weld up a hunting blind? Let's be realistic here. Want to punch his smug face? Instead just say, Robert hasn't made any decisions yet. You should probably talk to him if you're so interested. After that dinner, their entitlement went into overdrive. Marcus starts calling almost daily, always with some new scheme for the cabin. Andrew, I've been thinking, what if we turn the cabin into a rental property? Could make a killing during hunting season. I'd handle all the logistics, of course. You could do the repairs since you're so handy. Translation. He'd profit while I did all the work. Then Rachel sends me a text. Andrew, we really need to talk about Robert's estate. The cabin is too important to let it sit unused. Call me ASAP. When I don't respond, she follows up with another text. This isn't just about you, Andrew. It's about the family. Stop being selfish. Selfish. I'm the only one taking care of Robert. Somehow I'm the selfish one. Week later, Rachel and Marcus show up unannounced at Robert's house. I'm there helping him sort through old photos. Hear a knock at the door. Robert's too weak to get up, so I answer it. There they are, all fake smiles and pretend concern. Hey, Andrew, Rachel says, holding some container of store-bought muffins, like she's trying to bribe her way in. Don't buy it for a second. But Robert's always gracious, even when he knows people have ulterior motives. Invites them in. For next half hour, they put on their best act. Robert, you're looking great, Marcus lies. Is there anything you need? Anything at all? Rachel adds. Laying it on thick, Robert just smiles politely. I'm fine, but thank you for stopping by. Then Marcus, who can't help himself. We were just talking about the cabin the other day. It's such a beautiful property. Have you thought about what's going to happen to it? Robert gives him this sharp look. I have, he says, his tone making it clear the subject's closed. That doesn't stop them. After they leave, Rachel sends me a text. Robert's really starting to decline. We need to start planning for what's next. Let's meet soon to discuss. Discuss what? She doesn't care about Robert's health. Just wants to know how much she can get. Entitlement hits peak when Daniel posts in family group chat. Does anyone know if Robert has a financial advisor? We should make sure his estate is being managed properly. Almost throw my phone across the room. They're not even pretending to care anymore. Robert's just a pile of assets to them. Can't wait to divvy him up? That night I tell Robert about their antics. He just laughs, shakes his head. Let them talk. They'll get what they deserve soon enough. Didn't know what he meant then, but I'd find out soon. Robert passed away on a quiet Tuesday morning. Just me and his dog bear by his side. He'd been fading for days. Think he knew it was time. His last words to me were, "Don't let them ruin what's yours." That stuck with me. Robert spent his final months making sure his legacy would go to someone who cared, someone who would honor it, not squander it like the rest of them. As much as I was grieving, didn't have luxury of wallowing, will reading scheduled for following week, was not looking forward to it. My family had been circling like vultures for months. Now the feast was finally here, or so they thought. Day of will reading, show up early, mostly to mentally prepare. Robert's lawyer, Mr. Thompson, greets me. Firm handshake and knowing smile. You ready for this? He asks. Not really, I admit. He chuckles. Well, just remember, Robert made his decisions very clear. There's no room for debate. That was comforting. but knew my family well enough to expect fireworks. One by one, they trickle in. Marcus comes first, dressed like he's closing some big business deal. Expensive watch. Smug grin. "Morning, Andrew," he says. Like we're best buddies. Rachel and Christopher arrive next. Rachel already in full drama mode. "This is going to be so hard," she says. Clutching Christopher's arm, like she's about to faint. Daniel shows up last, looking bored and annoyed, like this is some meeting he's been forced to attend. "Let's just get this over with," he says. Plops down in a chair. Mom and Dad there too, sitting in corner like royalty, overseeing their court. Mom gives me tight smile, kind that doesn't reach her eyes. Dad doesn't even acknowledge me. Once everyone's seated, Mr. Thompson starts reading the will. Begins with smaller items. Robert's collection of fishing gear, some antique hunting rifles, few personal mementos. Then comes the big news. To my great-nephew Andrew, I leave my hunting cabin and the surrounding 85 acres of land, along with $200,000 to renovate and maintain the property. Could have heard a pin drop. Marcus breaks silence first. "What?" he says, voice rising. "That can't be right. Robert wouldn't just give all that to Andrew." Mr. Thompson doesn't even look up. It's what's written here in the will. "Mr. Warren, shall I continue?" Rachel already in tears. "This isn't fair," she sobs. "What about my kids? Robert always said he wanted to support the next generation. How are we supposed to carry on his legacy without the cabin?" "Your kids aren't even born yet, Rachel." "Can't help myself. Maybe focus on having them first. Before you start claiming Robert's legacy, that earns me a death glare." But before she can respond, Daniel jumps in. "This has to be fake. Robert was smart. He wouldn't leave all his assets to one person. There must be another version of the will." Mr. Thompson calmly pulls out second folder. "This is the most recent and legally binding version, signed and notarized. If you'd like, I can walk you through the process." Robert took to ensure there would be no confusion. Daniel shuts up real quick. Then comes the real shock. Rest of Robert's estate. He'd made it crystal clear. Everything else was to be liquidated. His investments, savings, all other assets, all going to charities he cared about, wildlife conservation, veteran support organizations. Room erupts in chaos. "What the hell is this?" Marcus shouts, slams his hand on the table. Rachel openly sobbing now. Christopher awkwardly patting her shoulder, like he doesn't know what else to do. "He must have been pressured," Rachel wails. "Andrew must have convinced him to do this." Mom finally speaks up, voice dripping with anger. "What did you do, Andrew? Did you manipulate Robert into this? There's no way he would have left us out. Unless you put ideas in his head? Stay calm, even though my blood's boiling. I didn't manipulate anyone. Robert made his choices because he knew. You didn't care about him. You cared about his money. That's why you're all so mad right now." That hits a nerve. Marcus stands up, towers over me, like he thinks he can intimidate me. "You don't deserve this," he says. Voice low and threatening. "You didn't even care about Robert until there was something in it for you." Can't help but laugh. That's rich coming from the guy who couldn't even visit Robert once in the past year. Don't talk to me about who cared. Rest of the reading is a blur. Angry outbursts, passive-aggressive comments. By time it's over, I'm exhausted, but oddly satisfied. They can scream and cry all they want. Won't change fact that Robert's decisions are final. As we're leaving, Mom corners me near door. "You've torn this family apart," she hisses. "If you had any decency, you'd share the inheritance? Robert would want you to." Look her straight in eye. "If Robert wanted that, he would have written it in the will. But he didn't, did he?" She storms off without another word. Family didn't just want cabin for sentimental reasons. There was financial motive driving their desperation. What none of them openly admitted was that cabin's land had serious potential. Over the years, area around Robert's property became prime location for upscale vacation homes and fancy resorts. Developers already approaching nearby landowners, offering huge money to buy acreage for new projects. The 85 acres Robert left me, one of largest untouched parcels in region, had stunning views, access to private creek, close to growing tourist town, word spread in community. Land could fetch upwards of $2.5 million if sold to right buyer. Marcus, Rachel, and Daniel weren't just seeing cabin. They were seeing dollar signs. Knew this was only beginning of their schemes and tantrums. But I was ready for whatever came next. Robert had trusted me to carry on his legacy. Wasn't about to let him down. For next few weeks, bombarded with calls, texts, and emails from every single one of them. Didn't matter how many times I said no. They were relentless. First incident happened at cabin itself. Come home from work one day. Doorbell camera blinking with notifications. Check the footage. There they are. Mom, Rachel, and Marcus, standing on porch, trying to get inside. Mom peeking through windows, while Rachel tugs at doorknob. Marcus, always the opportunist, inspecting side door, like he's planning to break in. Don't touch anything, Mom says sharply. We don't want him to sue. Can't believe it. They actually drove out to cabin, while I wasn't home, thinking they could what? Claim squatters' rights, steal something, call Mom immediately. What the hell were you doing at my house? She doesn't even try denying it. We were just looking around, she says. Like that makes it okay. Robert's cabin is part of the family, Andrew. You don't have the right to keep us out. It's not part of the family. It's mine. And if you set foot on my property again, I'll call the cops. Andrew, she says. Voice dripping with fake concern. Don't be like this. We're just trying to do what's best for everyone. You're being unreasonable. No, I say firmly. I'm honoring Robert's wishes. You're the ones being unreasonable. That night, install new locks on every door. Set up additional cameras around property. Put up no trespassing signs at edge of driveway, just in case they try their luck again. But they don't stop. Rachel sends email next day, begging me to sell cabin to her for $150,000, less than quarter of its value. Please, Andrew, she writes. This cabin means everything to me and Christopher. We'll pay you more than it's worth. You don't even need it. Don't even bother responding. Marcus's next move, spread rumors about me to neighbors. Find out from one of Robert's old friends, Mr. Davidson, who lives down road. Marcus has been telling people, you tricked Robert into leaving you the cabin. Don't worry, I set him straight. But you should know. They're trying to turn people against you. Doesn't work, though. Robert's neighbors knew truth. They'd seen how often I was there. Taking care of him, Marcus and Rachel hadn't set foot on property. In years, Daniel takes different approach. One that involves more scheming, less crying. About 2 weeks after will reading, get call from Mr. Thompson, Robert's lawyer. Andrew, he says, voice serious. We've got a bit of a situation. Your brother Daniel submitted what he claims is a revised version of Robert's will. Freeze in place. What? Don't worry, Mr. Thompson says quickly. It's an obvious forgery. Robert's signature doesn't match, and notary stamp is fake. I've already filed report with authorities. Can't believe it. Daniel actually went to trouble of faking entire new will, one that conveniently split Robert's estate evenly among all of us. Call him immediately. What the hell is wrong with you, Daniel? He doesn't even try denying it. I was just correcting an injustice, he says smugly. Robert would have wanted family to share everything. You don't deserve to keep it all to yourself. Robert made his wishes clear, I snap back. You're just mad they didn't include you. It's not fair, he shouts. You manipulated him, Andrew? Admit it. Hang up before I say something. I'll really regret. Next day, Daniel learns what happens when you try to tamper with legal documents. Mr. Thompson followed through on his promise. Daniel officially under investigation for forgery. Apparently, when you fake a will, it's not just frowned upon. It's a felony. Get call from investigator on case, asking if I'd cooperate. Absolutely, I say without hesitation. If Daniel wanted to play stupid games, he could win some serious consequences. A few days later, Daniel calls me, voice shaking with panic. Andrew, you have to help me. Almost laugh. Help you? Are you serious right now? The police showed up at my house. He shouts, they're saying I committed fraud. This is insane. You need to tell them it's a misunderstanding. It's not a misunderstanding, I say coldly. You forged a will, Daniel. That's a crime. What did you think was going to happen? You can't do this to me, he yells. We're family. Funny how you only care about family. When it's convenient for you, I reply. Good luck explaining your injustice theory. To the judge, things escalate quickly after that. Daniel, charged with forgery and fraud, has to hire expensive lawyer. Tries downplaying situation at first, claiming it's just family dispute. But evidence is damning. Fake will is laughably bad. Robert's signature looks traced. Notary stamp printed off internet. Even dates don't match up. Complete amateur job. Authorities see right through it. During investigation, they find emails Daniel sent to shady online service, offering to create fake documents. One email even says, can you make this look convincing enough to fool a lawyer? That alone seals his fate. At preliminary hearing, Daniel looks like shell of former self. Gone is smug tech bro, who thought he could outsmart me. When prosecutor lays out evidence, Daniel's lawyer tries arguing. It's all misunderstanding. That Daniel just trying to clarify. Robert's wishes. Judge isn't buying it. You don't clarify a will. By forging signatures and faking legal documents, Judge says bluntly. Daniel eventually takes plea deal to avoid jail time, but comes at steep price. Gets slapped with $75,000 fine. Has to pay restitution for legal fees I incurred. Required to complete 500 hours. Community service. On top of that, his reputation is in shambles. Word gets out about case. His startup loses major investors. Rest of family tries rallying around Daniel, blaming me for taking things too far. Did you really have to involve police, Andrew? Mom asks during one of her guilt-tripping calls. Daniel is your brother, and he's lucky he didn't end up in prison, I say firmly. He was just trying to fix things, she insists. No, I snap back. He was trying to steal from me. Stop making excuses for him. They don't like that answer, but I don't care. By time it's all over, Daniel is broken man. Tries rebuilding his business, but reputation's so tarnished, most clients moved on. He even has nerve to ask me for financial help. Claims he needs just little support to get back on his feet. Not happening, I tell him. You can figure it out on your own. Just like I've been doing my entire life. He hangs up on me. Haven't heard from him since. Watching Daniel face real consequences. Oddly satisfying. For once golden boy of family, couldn't weasel way out of trouble. He'd always acted like he could do whatever he wanted, without facing repercussions, but not this time. By this point, done playing nice. File police report for attempted break-in. Let family know in no uncertain terms. Done entertaining their nonsense. Don't contact me again. Unless it's through a lawyer, I tell them. Mom calls me selfish traitor. Rachel cries about how I'm tearing family apart. Marcus accuses me of ruining Robert's legacy. And Daniel? He threatens to sue me, even though his forgery attempt already backfired spectacularly. Through it all, stay calm. You should have respected him. While he was alive, if you wanted to be part of it, I say every time, by end of month, completely cut them off. Their numbers blocked. Cabin fully secured. Let them scheme all they want. They weren't getting damn thing from me.